organized and hosted together by three groups. Is another intergroup cooperation initiative between the Planetary System Group, the Global Silent Minute, and the 2025 initiative. Thank you for joining us today. We invite you to start your videos at the beginning now that we could welcome each other and see each other. And then as we will start working, we will turn off our videos. Uh, Over to you, Dot.
Thank you, Alexander. So welcome to our 2025 Creative Lab, The Celestial Cycles, Planning the Future. This is part 2, facilitated by Antonella and Mauro with the Planetary System, TPS. And this online creative lab comes from an intergroup idea and interest through this triangle among the Global Silent Minute, the TPS, the Planetary System, and the 2025 initiative. So today we look forward to continuing to embrace and contemplate the major cycles and directions of the solar system on the basis of the text From Linear to Cyclical Time, which Mauro will put in the chat for us, in order to creatively tune in to the causal music of the spheres. And in light of the epochal turning point we are experiencing, and in preparation for the crucial date of 2025. So we will open today with a global silent minute. And prior to taking this minute of silence as action together, we want to let everyone know that on 21 December, solstice, we have two distinct opportunities for group service together. The first, Antonella will speak to, and it is the exact moment of the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction on that day, and at 7 p.m. GMT, and in fact, the wraparound is 4:45 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. GMT, but at 7 p.m. GMT, and we'll post that link in the chat, we will gather together at that exact moment in time around the conjunction. And we will also be hosting our annual Global Silent Minute on 21 December at 9 p.m. GMT, a chalice of silence from 8:45 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. GMT. And more information is at globalsilentminute.org. So let us prepare to enter the silence. We take a deep breath and unite our hearts across distance. And we invite all those on the other side of the veil to assist in loving cooperation as we hold the shared intention for global cooperation, peace, and freedom. So once again, we are delighted, Antonella, that you continue to say yes. Thank you so much, and we look forward to the sharing. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dot. Um, Okay, we can turn off our webcam. Me too. Okay, yes, we call this a creative lab. I hope that there will be some time after this second marathon into the cycles and rhythms of the solar system. Otherwise, we can plan a third meeting. Anyway, let's begin straight away. Okay, last time, let's resume our survey of the solar cycles from starting from the 15 possible composed cycles between the seven sacred luminaries or planets of the solar system. We have seen last time the three most profound cycles between the four giants of the solar system: Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. And we had reached the main building rhythm of the solar plan, the composed cycle between Jupiter and Saturn. Let's contemplate together once again the main ideas inferred from this solar turning point of the conjunction, already shared and asserted on a global meditation at the end of October we made for their heliocentric conjunction on November the 2nd. And we were 500 around, so it was really a global meditation. Okay, Jupiter and Saturn are none other than the solar lords of love and light. They are the solar heart and mind intelligence who complete a revolution around some volcan, the central will power, the head center, every 20 earthly years, tracing every 3 conjunctions or 60 years, the primary figure of the equilateral triangle, as we have seen at the beginning of the video. And they build, they trace, they carve this primary figure of the triangle inside the circle of the zodiac with the 12 qualities. So this triad of planetary logoi, Vulcan, first ray, Jupiter, second ray, and Saturn, third ray, has been recognized as the upper triangle of solar consciousness. And at each conjunction of these luminaries, the 3 rays of aspect impress upon the energized substance and substantial energy of the ecliptic the solar plane, a causal impulse for all the planetary plans, including our plan for the evolution on Earth. And in particular, we know that this unique year 2020 has been charged by the presence of Pluto to first ray in the initiatory sign of Capricorn. And this before only happened in 1284 and before in 549 and earlier only in 1894 before Christ. Thus is really this triple conjunction is really a very rare occurrence. And this 2020 conjunction is the first in Aquarius since 1404, in the sign of the rising age of universal brotherhood and of the initiation of the human group. It is the first time of 4 conjunctions every 60 years in Aquarius until 2199, and therefore decisively takes us to the new world of the one humanity, of the human planetary order. So this conjunction has been called the Great Mutation, as it is the very first one of their conjunctions in Aries signs, that is Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And This will be for the next 180 years. And thus it is definitely the main event from here to the fateful date of 2025, sacred, consecrated to the externalization of the hierarchy and to the reappearance of the fourth ray of harmony through conflict, namely of the fourth human hierarchy, guided by the Buddhic or Christic principle. So from the conjunction in Capricorn of 1961 until 2020, we are just ending now the 34th 60-year star of Jupiter and Saturn, starting from the first advent of Christ, with their conjunction in Pisces. And there is a quote from Blavatsky, which is amazing. The sign of the coming of the Messiah was the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Pisces. So this 34th star of 60 years of these two builders of the solar plan is this number 34th in amplified resonance with the Christ 34th year he was living, that saw the fulfillment on earth of his mission of love and sacrifice. So, well, what we can infer, if, as indicated by Madame Blavatsky, Christ came during the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Pisces, will Maitreya, Lord Maitreya, come in one of the four conjunctions in Aquarius? So their heliocentric union of November the 2nd has been recognized as a most propitious causal date, because heliocentric is the systemic point of view, while the geocentric is our planetary point of view. So this conjunction is a most propitious causal date to assert the reappearance and to build in us, especially in the current 49 plus 1 days we have been living since the November the 2nd, a sort of Pentecost between their heliocentric and their geocentric conjunctions. So we can impress or embody the very body of Christ, as if, of course, the idea of the presence of Maitreya in the vital substance of the mother, in the sacred matrix of the human planetary order. And as I said, acting as if in a balanced, humble, yet daring and joyful way. So Elamdoma, because this is a Pythagorean matrix of 7 by 7 fires, this is called a lambdoma from the letter lambda, which has that form of a cusp in a way. A lambdoma of 49 steps or fires to activate between their heliocentric impulse on the causal or higher mental plane, the plane of human souls, and its precipitation conjunction at 0 degree of Aquarius, from the geocentric point of view of December 21st, 2020, in solemn synchrony with the initiatory date of the solstice, which is a timeless moment that holds within itself all the potentialities of the terrestrial annual cycle to come. So, and today, 21st of November, we are, well, it's for the Australian is the 22nd, but from here is the 21st. We are at its step 3-5, this one. So if you count like that, we are just in this lotus, or this thought form we are building in subjective meditation. So we are leaving this 3-5 step, and this is sown and asserted by a group consciousness, exactly identified with a goal called study of cycles, dates, and currents. And its active formula is I plan the rhythms and cycles of advancement, And here we are tonight or today. So we have seen how, with the rhythmic dance of their reciprocal directions, Jupiter and Saturn inscribe every 60 years the marvelous figures of the 5 and 6 pointed stars. The stars of the second consciousness aspect, while the triangles are of the first aspect. The case says in esoteric astrology that the triangles are of the first aspect, monad spirit, squares are of the third aspect, while the stars, sextiles, quintiles, so these are referring to the second aspect of consciousness, of soul. And particularly the 5 and 6 are the sacred numbers of the fire of the mind, 5, and of the perfection in the form, 6. So in this initiatory conjunction of the solar plan, the higher love and light merge and unite in the heavens and in the human group consciousness, as above, so below. The planetary heart and throat centers, hierarchy and humanity, can be in tune and vibrate together with an extraordinary intensity. So now we are going to the text we were studying together last time, and I invite Mauro to read.
The 6-pointed and 7-centered, including the middle star, or star of life, is made of the sequential discontinuities between Saturn and Jupiter along the ideal circle of the zodiac, according to a clockwise circulation. The conjunctions trace the upper triangle and the oppositions the lower triangle of the star. Therefore, every 10 years, we record a conjuncture or an opposition between signs, and the clockwise vertices of the star are precisely the decennial positions of Jupiter in the zodiac. Each 6-pointed star of discontinuity between Saturn and Jupiter corresponds to a 5-pointed star of continuity called star of creation. Psychogeometry revealed by considering at the beginning of the 5 cycles of Jupiter every 12 terrestrial years the successive positions of Saturn in the zodiacal circle.
And we have seen in the video.
In actual fact, in 60 years, basic rhythmic beat of the solar plan, 3 stars of life and 3 stars of creation start, each originating from a conjunction between the 2 luminaries every 20 years. The stars of life are also called stars of causes or creative, 3 triangle of the discontinuous impulses of the solar plan, while the stars of creation manage the building of formulas and the golden connection between worlds, 5 pentacle.
Here are the position of the stars, and you can see that just in 2020 they point in Aries sign, while before the conjunction were in earthly signs.
The air element of their conjunctions in the signs Aquarius, Gemini, Libra is that substantial quality which brings expansion and is new in comparison with the earth element of Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo of the last 180 years, whose keyword is contact.
Sorry, these keywords are taken by decay. Contact is for earth, expansion is for air, relationship is for fire, and synthesis is for water.
4 stars consecrated to the summit in Aquarius will then start in 2020, in 2080, in 2139 and 2199. In 2160, also the deepest planets, Neptune and Uranus, will be conjunct in Aquarius for the first time after 3,600 years.
So here you can see the position or the sign of their conjunction in 2400 years. And here are the four conjunctions in Aquarius. Around the sun, their conjunction close at zodiac in this period. The fact that also Neptune and Uranus are going to be conjunct in this sign, and we know from decade that the official beginning of Aquarius is in 21st 17, really tells us that we are at the dawn, at the real dawn of this age. But this first conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, love and light in Aquarius, is like really celebrating a glorious beginning of that in the heart and throat centers of any planets of the solar system, so also in humanity and hierarchy. Okay. Okay, now I show you something technical, but it's just to show how the study went deep in this matter. So we have in contemporary time, and I show you, this is the star of Capricorn between 1961 and 2020. We have in contemporary time these three stars, because each 20 years a new stars begin with a new conjunctions. This is the stars of 60 years starting from their conjunction in 2000. Is the star of Taurus, their conjunction here near the Pleiades. This is the Libra stars with their conjunction in 1981. And so for the first time, as we show, Capricorn will go away and Aquarius will be the new sign of their conjunction. And, Taurus will be put away by Gemini. So in 2060 or there will be a conjunction in Gemini, another Aries sign. And Libra was the first conjunction in Aries sign. But then we had in 2001 in Taurus, and then now the first in Aquarius is called the Great Mutation because it is the real first one in all Aries signs, and so it's the great beginning of this expansion quality. Okay. So these three stars build a triadic structure in a century. So in this case, between 1961 and 2060. And is really this solar and therefore the planetary plan has this three star structure in it. And so this is not the place to go into detail, but it goes without saying that you can find in them a triad of aspects or orientations of the solar and planetary plan. So we have first ray, Capricorn, and then Aquarius. We can call the stars of group initiation is a first ray aspect. And here you can see that the year 2025 is in a fiery center of this descending side of the five-pointed star. Okay, so these sides inside these golden sections of this magic structure of forms and events and causal into effects structure, you see that the 2025 is really at the center of these 12 years. Then we have a second ray star, Taurus or Gemini, and we can call them the stars of the Christ. The first one, stars of group initiation, and these stars of the Christ. While the third star, or series of stars, we can call them stars of the plan, third ray, third aspect. So here we can see the sides of the stars put as curves, and starting from 1961, you can see that there is this year, this point, which is a sort of center of the three stars of a century, is at the very center. So it's a sort of stars jubilee. This is one year what was something. And this is the 49-year cycle of the Masters of the Sixth Initiation began in 21 and earlier on 1952 and in 1903. So these are the beginning of the 49 cycles of the six initiation masters. You can see that the 2025 is in the center, 4-4. So this way of putting order in a sequence, in a linear sequence, is a way to find where the main important fires, or in this case, years are. So this is the central years of the three cycles of the masters. And we are now living in a way here in the 2020. Okay, Mauro, if you want to read
quote, yes.
the quote, yes. Thank you.
All the masters who are initiates of the sixth degree meet in conclave and together, and before making their final decision, decide what measure they propose the hierarchy should take, which will drastically and permanently affect the planet on which they have lived and for which they have worked. They, in their totality at any given time, are the group which makes final decision anent human affairs. The opportunity comes to the hierarchy every 49 years, and the year 1952 will see a group of these higher initiates choose the path of their future livingness and being. The last initiation of this kind was therefore held in 1903. From Alice Bailey, The Rays and the Initiations.
The years that mark the beginning of this higher cycle are therefore 1903, 1952, 2000, 2050, with the year 2025, as we said, as the crucial center 4-4 of the current cycle of decision.
Any plan or project that intends to be legitimate, these according to the laws of the heavens, must merge with the rhythms and cycles of the solar plan. The understanding of currents and flows of such stars set up by the solar builders reveals the causal and operative energies that are available. It penetrates worlds and levels, assists and ritualizes the imitation and identification with celestial and global purpose. To become aware of this merging is the safest way to read the events of the past and tendencies of the future, and so be prepared. Humanity in the likeness of the heavens can in its lesser order and actions establish primary and secondary dates, which can only be effective and make sense if they are in agreement with the spatial dates. Careful observance of such signs can quickly teach us to best use the energy of the rhythm, and it is always wiser to support than obstruct this flow. The result is a luminous liturgy that rules the elements and keeps roads and routes open. The fourth cycle of the two remaining sacred luminaries, Mercury, fourth ray, and Venus, fifth ray, the divine hermaphrodite, traces the same psychogeometries of Jupiter and Saturn. Mercury is to Venus as Jupiter is to Saturn, but their conjunction recurs every 4 to 5.5 months against the 20 years of the two greater, scale 1 to 48. Therefore, they have been considered as updating factors or curators of the details of the setting up and golden building of the plan. The element of their triangles of successive conjunctions change around every terrestrial year.
Can I show you? Here is the successive conjunction.
Their last heliocentric conjunction some days ago, on the 16th of November in the sign Virgo, marked the end of their actual 14-pointed star every 5.5 years, which veils their triangular essential action through the 4 elements of the zodiac, solar heart. This reveals the marvelous interaction between the living geometries of the causal numbers and impulses and those of manifestation and motion. Among concordancies of the other composed cycles, we can mention 2 fundamental ones. Jupiter traces every 84 years, cycle of Uranus, a 6-pointed star with its 6 conjunctions to Uranus every 14 years. Likewise, Earth and Venus trace a 5-pointed star anti-clockwise every 8 years.
Or going back to the most profound or slow cycle, we can consider just this cycle of Neptune, 6th ray, and Pluto, 1st ray. So Pluto and Neptune, 1st ray non-sacred and 6th ray Neptune. Actually, Neptune is a 2nd ray at a synthetic or higher level. And currently they join every 500 years in the sign of Gemini. You can go on, Mauro.
Yes. Since their step of advancement is about 3-4 degrees at each subsequent conjunction, they join in the same sign every half a millennium about 9 times. Therefore, for a cycle of about 4,500 years, they liberate, 1st ray, in the waters of the solar community, 6th ray, the same zodiacal energy. From the conjunction of the 14th century to 5340, the carrier energy is therefore that of Gemini, that of right relationships and of love wisdom, 2nd ray, as the magnetic transmitter of the solar will and purpose.
Another way to count these long cycles is, for example, to consider when 2 deep or slow planets conjunct in the same sign. For example, Uranus, 7th ray, and Saturn, 3rd ray, are in conjunction in Aquarius, for example, every 500 or 600 years, and not before. Or, for example, let's consider the conjunction between Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn.
The last in Capricorn, sign of the current transit of Pluto from 2008 to 2024, was in 1518, at the explosive time of the Renaissance, while the one at the beginning of 2020 began our current new Renaissance.
Here we have the cycles of the 7 rays referred by decay, and so we have to consider also them in this marathon of the solar cycles. Here are some hypotheses made by other students of the ancient wisdom. This one for the monadic ray cycles, this one for the minor rational ray cycles, and this is another hypothesis according to the perspective of the science of harmonics. And we can see that the rising 7th ray, which is this curve, and the 4th ray here, and and we can see also what is the state of the art of the other rays, cycles, and breaths. Any student knows that we would need a hierarchical knowledge to handle this matter, and that we will always be students in it, as it is for any initiate or logos compared to the higher infinite yet older levels of wisdom. Okay, so now it is necessary to point out also the 3 or 4 element composed cycles. So up to now, we consider just the couple of 2 luminaries, but also a triad of luminary compose a composed cycle, which are a sort of accords or proportions among the planetary relations. So we can mention the paramount and famous triad nowadays, the triad cycle Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, which shows just now the current crisis point of their uniting curves and breaths. Or as a quartet, the mentioned cycle between Mercury and Venus, placed in a Jupiter-Saturn cycle of 20 years. So we have said that all the 4.5 months, 4 or 5 months, Mercury and Venus, the hermaphrodite, join in the same point, are in conjunction. Well, there are 49 conjunctions of the divine hermaphrodite every 20 years. That is, every conjunction of their higher brothers, Jupiter and Saturn. So we can say that there are 49 or a lambdoma of steps of the divine hermaphrodite, fourth ray and fifth ray, to realize the fulfillment of this greater cycle of the plan between the second ray and the third ray. So the rhythm of the solar hermaphrodite builds systemically the 49 steps to accomplish the impulses of each phase of the solar plan of love and light. This is an indication that we should be like scientists when we desire to better the art fourth ray or the science fifth ray or the humanity and hierarchy second and third ray. So we have the dates where to put seeds. And just if we follow this indication, these music of the spheres, like the ancient used to put the stones in the same line to just initiate a good civilization, protected civilization. So this is a teaching from the solar temples, so from the solar builders. So every time that I consider the perfect geometry and the accord between these rhythms, it's like my heart is very joyful and say, okay, we have when we know when to do something. Just if only we could elevate our mind and hearts beyond all our doubts or ignorant short-term goals in a way. Okay. Another example of this type of the proportion between the cycles of planets is this one that sees the relationship between Jupiter and Uranus, their conjunctions, oppositions, and squares, every 3.5 years, included in the framework of the primary Uranus-Neptune cycles. If you see, here in 1910, they were Neptune and Uranus, 6th ray and 7th ray, they were in conjunction, in opposition, sorry. And in 2076, they are again in opposition. So there is a cycle of 166, something like that, between their two successive aspects. So in this frame of their returning in the same condition, we have 49 aspects between Jupiter and Uranus. So again, a great harmony between two couples of rhythms. And we need 49 aspects or dates to complete the impulse delivered by the higher couple. It's like the mother cycle between Neptune and Uranus, because they are the most profound sacred luminaries. A sacred luminary is a luminary that is able to express its ray, its soul ray, while the Earth or Mars and Pluto and so on, their ray is the personality one. So we have initiates also between among the planets. And as we say, placing at the beginning this Uranus-Neptune opposition 1910, we can see that their conjunction, their momentous conjunction, happened in 1993. And again, is at the very center 4-4 of this magic matrix. And so again, this is probably the main event of these 2 centuries we are living. And secondly, we had the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. Okay, so we can say that these are the 49 steps between Jupiter and Uranus, indicated by their relative position, enter into a lambdoma square at index 7. Sorry for the technicality of this date, but just to show the wonderful music and geometry and the mathematics that they represent in the shore of the heavens. Here is another wonderful symmetrical representation. This is a way to consider the fundamental relationship between Jupiter and Uranus. They are the planets of the beneficent consummation. So it's important to consider this cycle because they are the 2 rulers of the coming Aquarius age. So in this table 7-7, the 12-year cycle of Jupiter is inscribed in a 49 cycle matrix that is of Uranian origin, as Uranus takes 7 years to pass through each 30 degrees sign of the zodiac. So you can see the wonderful symmetries of display between the, you see here at the corners, we have all cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Aries, Libra, at the center, Aries. In this diagonal, the opposite. In all the diagonals in this way, we have the opposite signs. Here we are, Leo and Aquarius, Capricorn, Cancer, Gemini, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Taurus. Isn't it amazing? And opposite, in this way, we have all airy signs, all watery signs, all fiery signs, all earth signs. So it's really magic in action between these 2 ways of marrying the life numbers of perfection, the number 7, and the number of space love, the 12. The parts of the whole are in order or in a harmonic relationship with each other. That is a beneficial accomplishment, a hierarchy of qualities or consciousness, a coordinated cooperation towards a same purpose. We should do many global minutes, silent minutes after this news from the heavens. This 49 table is referring to the current cycle of 49 years and goals of a first attempt to formulate the hierarchical plan which a group of hearts and souls has been experimenting and asserting in space through their harmonic work and being. So there are some co-workers here tonight, and so just a big hug to all of them, and also to all the others. So you can see the 7 main goals that this planetary plan of freedom, and these 7 goals have been inferred from the teachings of decay. So first ray, restoration of the mysteries; second ray, return of the Christ; group initiation, imitation of the hierarchy; new culture, new civilization; new world religion; and the 7th order, restoration of the plan. This is the 49th first attempt to embody and incarnate the substantial energy and energetic substance of the plan, as the masters do. We at our level can imitate their art to embody and identify with the plan. Okay, and before arriving here, I want to share the cycles of the new group of world servers as indicated by decay. There is an article here in the blog, the English blog of the Planetary System, the cycle of the new group of world servers. I know probably all of you know much about that, but we can just share some news, some indications, and compare them to the cyclical time or rhythm of the solar system.
Here then are the collected indications on the 3, 7, and 9-year cycles prepared to serve knowingly the unfolding of the hierarchical plan. There's a PDF attached, but we will put maybe the link to the post. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. A brief commentary is that the 3-year cycle is the basic creative rhythm of the evolution of consciousness, composed of 3 impulses defined as crisis, tension, emergence. All creative processes proceed with a cyclic rhythm. The rhythm set by the new group of world servers is a 3-year cycle to lay the plans for the future and work with the law and along the lines of least resistance. To confirm this, in the heliocentric cycles, this rhythm corresponds to the 4 main phases of the revolution of Jupiter around the Sun of 12 terrestrial years. Jupiter, the second ray of love wisdom, guides the expansion of consciousness, and the 3-year rhythm is the quadrature of its circle to realize this solar expansion. Joy in service can be experienced only through an expanded consciousness. It must be remembered that each 3-year period represents a step of consciousness. In the same way, each 7-year period represents a renewal of the centers. Learn to understand that the days of the consciousness are not repeatable and therefore are not to be allowed to escape. From Agni Yoga Community. The 7-year cycle of restoration and renewal is instead linked to Uranus, the 7th ray lord of rhythmic and ritualistic order, transiting exactly 7 Earth years in each of the 12 zodiacal signs, for a total of 84 years of its heliocentric year. Uranus, the divine consort of Gaia, the Earth, brings the processes to completion and closes them to open new cycles. He counts, puts in order, and makes all things new, according to the septenary rule. The 7-year cycle is connected in the document to the celestial energies which are transmitted in a particular way by this solar initiator, Capricorn, the gate of the gods and of transfiguration, 3rd initiation, the zodiacal sign with the highest transmission of the 7th ray for this precessional cycle, and the antenna of the supernal constellation of the Dragon, the 7th constellation and cosmic source for our solar system, of Buddhi's electric fire. Buddhi is love wisdom, the universal motive, and intensified in the current solar system, that Christ principle of vital latent power in the heart of every atom that impels to evolve its consciousness from atomic to universal. The dragon guards the supernal light of the summit. It is the astronomical seat of the North Pole, of the ecliptic, and of the sun. And from this lantern of the cosmic temple, it transmits the love that moves the sun and the other stars, Buddhi, through the altar of the Pleiades, our original matrix. Uranus is the officiant of the vital rite of cosmic love. The new group of world servers can learn to use the magical unscrambling and reorganizing potency of its 7-year cycle to renew the centers or inner powers, not only during the solstice week, as indicated by the teaching week of group impact, which increases the propensity to goodwill, but also at the entrance of Uranus in each of the 12 signs or petals of the solar heart, or on the occasion of its direct alignments with Jupiter, 7 years between one of their conjunction and later opposition, cause of beneficial fulfillment. In particular, also the cycle of Saturn, third ray, the solar architect and planner of 28-30 years, presents 4 7-year phases as a quadrature of its orbital circle, or translation of ideas into forms, that is, to precipitate solar plan in planetary projects. The year of Uranus contains roughly 3 years of Saturn, 84 equals 3 times 28, and the interval of 21 years, 3 times 7s, so 777, or quarters of the cycle of Uranus, 4 times 21, is a symbol and cause of rhythmic perfection, marking, among other things, the main seasons of a human incarnation. To conclude, considering the cycle of 9, or a triad of triennial cycles, a part of God's vision and its formulation of that vision for the immediate present is revealed for the next 9-year cycle. In support of this, at the heliocentric level, is the Saturn-Neptune cycle, 3rd and 6th ray, the one that deals with the vision of the plan, with consequent creation of new values and communities, to present its quadrature of the circle or phases of realization every 9 years, for a total of 36 years between one conjunction and the next one. At the geocentric level, even the cycle of lunar nodes, or 18 years, or inverted every 9 years, which relates man-Earth to its bodies of expression, moon, indicates propitious forces and times to synthesize the vision of the future and legacy of the past in the immediate present. In sum, the new group of world servers must progressively learn the highest signs of cycles if we want to contribute to building consciously at united breath and unified rhythm with the solar scores, a new culture and civilization, so that the hierarchical plan can be restored as soon as possible on Earth.
May I have this time logistical intervention?
Yes.
Mm, would you like sometime the questions to be asked, or you prefer it to be done at the end of our...
No. It's okay. Yes. There are other questions.
So I just want to offer this opportunity. If anyone has any questions, maybe it's a good moment to pause for additional reflection. If anyone in the...
Yeah, but or interrupt anytime. Yes, possibly.
I wanted to ask you about this 9-year cycle in relation to the new group of world servers. As far as I remember, the new 9-year cycles begins in 2023. Do you have any thoughts on, in terms of preparation for this new 9-year cycles for the world group? What could or should be done?
The fact is that from any perspective, you take this wonderful hierarchy of cycles, you can infer something. So this is, for example, this text that Philip Lindsay made, combining the indication of the 3-year, 9-year cycle and so on. And so we are now in 2020, okay? So this is crisis consolidation, emergence impact on public consciousness. And yes, it began in Taurus full moon in 2014 and will end in 2023, 9-year cycle. I don't know really, because I think that maybe someone else can know better this, how to use this. I just studied these cycles, comparing them to the planets one, to see if this 9-year, which is 3 times 3, so is again connected to the creativity in a way, but the fact that is one of the 4 phases of the cycle between Saturn and Neptune, 3rd ray and 6th ray, it gives us an indication that it could be a creativity, 3rd ray, about communion, about building a synthesis, about the capacity to value the meaning of things, the 6-ray things. But if you had some hint, or anybody knows has made some speculation or comprehension of what could mean this 9-year cycle, please, let's share it. Otherwise, I don't know.
I think it's a good invitation for the group for reflection and meditation and for sharing.
Yes.
You have 3 years to prepare.
It's interesting, the Taurus, which is the sign of the new group of world service, as we know. So all this cycle began with this Taurus full moon, with the Vesak. Anyone else? Okay, there is space anytime. So all this marathon among numbers, psychogeometries, combinations, harmony between them, among them, as human beings should learn to. Let's now point to our most important goal, the 2025. And there is this document in the documents page called the 7 steps towards 2025 that count exactly from the entering of Uranus in 2018 in September heliocentrically in the sign of Taurus, because this initiatory planet, the Hierophant, solar Hierophant or Jerophant of the solar system, Uranus, the 7th ray, is really counting from 2018 7 steps towards this exteriorization of hierarchy, of the date of the first stage of exteriorization. So let's share some okay, this is a quote from Externalization of the Hierarchy. Mauro, please.
a great and new movement is proceeding and a tremendously increased interplay and interaction is taking place. These will go on until AD 2025. During the years intervening between now and then, very great changes will be seen taking place, and at the great General Assembly of the Hierarchy, held as usual every century in 2025, the date in all probability will be set for the first stage for the externalization of the hierarchy. The present cycle from now until that date is called technically the stage of the forerunner. It is preparatory in nature, testing in its methods, and intended to be revelatory in its techniques and results. You can see, therefore, that Choans, masters, initiates, world disciples, and aspirants affiliated with the hierarchy are all at this time passing through a cycle of great activity.
And we are just living this 2020, which is really a probatory and initiatory year, probably the most difficult after the Second World War, we can say.
We can figure the bristling path fraught with difficulties that unfolds between 2018 and 2025 as composed of 7 stations, 7 years and initiatory steps that heaven seals with as many celestial lessons, made evident by the cyclical movement of Jupiter, master of solar space, and magnetism, second ray, which passing from 2018 to 2025, from Scorpio to Gemini, in 2025 it will enter Cancer in May. By virtue of its inherent energy, catalyzes the zodiacal substance where it takes dwelling in a sign every terrestrial year, and prepares it to receive and accept the will of the central solar life.
So Jupiter, 1 terrestrial year in 30 degrees or a sign, while Uranus, 7th ray, 7 terrestrial years in 30 degrees or sign. This is their relationship, harmonic relationship. And this is what we showed before. These are the year mentioned, 2018, and this is the 2025.
Jupiter is accompanied in this work of sowing for the beneficial fulfillment by the energy of Uranus, which remains for 7 Earth years in a sign. The Lord of cosmic traction, 7th ray, pushes consciousness and form with rhythm and wisdom towards the final transfiguration. In these 7 years that separate us from 2025, Uranus will pass from the ardent and initiatory waters of Aries to the magnetic and loving ones of Gemini, abiding throughout the whole 7-year period in Taurus, heliocentrically from September the 3rd, 2018 to January the 3rd, 2026, thus activating its luminous substance so that the eye that looks at the infinite abysses of heaven knows how to draw a clear and powerful vision filled with the abundance of life and such as to enhance a new yearning in humanity towards harmony. Uranus, the planet of the hidden mystery and one of the most occult of the planets, falls in Taurus, producing the accentuation and the sharp division between body and soul. Uranus, hidden in the depths, is to awaken and evoke the intuitive response of Taurus to an ever-increasing light, until such time that full illumination is achieved, and also the development of the spiritual consciousness, substituting these higher soul aspects for the lower form reactions. It is interesting to note that in Scorpio, Uranus is exalted, which gives indication of the success of the task which the Uranian forces undertook. Achievement is attained.
These are the position of Uranus in this 49 matrix.
In the heaven of general causes, the heliocentric one, according to the tropical view of our Earth, it is therefore possible to see and consequently celebrate these 7 steps that lead to the threshold of 2025. Jupiter and Uranus, as esoteric and exoteric rulers of Aquarius, trace the path that leads to the glory of the future, represented precisely by the energy of Aquarius, the next primary energy for our Earth, according to the precessional cycle. Aquarius, the sign of the hierarchy which leads the new group of world servers, ruled by Taurus, towards the beneficial accomplishment, is an energy interwoven with the constructive and fiery force of the 5th ray, operating according to the golden rule and in the light of brotherhood, the luminous consequence of establishing right human relationships within humanity. Precisely in 2025, Uranus, the luminary that makes all things new, like every 84 years of its revolution cycle, will be in conjunction with the star Alcyon, the origin of the 7 solar systems of which we are a part. Aquarius relates humanity to the Pleiades and therefore to Taurus in an unusual manner. The key to this relation is to be found in the word desire, leading through the transmutative processes of life experience to aspiration and finally the relinquishing of desire in Scorpio. Aquarius, Alcyon, and humanity constitute a most interesting triangle of force. Alcyon is one of the 7 Pleiades and is called the star of the individual and sometimes the star of intelligence.
Let's just consider that we are entering in Sagittarius in just half an hour, and that tomorrow there will be the alignment Sun, Earth, and Alcyone of the Pleiades. So each year we have 2 dates where we can celebrate with a particular and intensity this relationship between humanity, Alcyone, and the Aquarius sign. So the relationship between Aquarius, Alcyone, and humanity is subjective, is in the causal or subtle words, while during the cycle of the year, this alignment between their bodies of the bodies of the Sun and the Earth with the body of Alcyone can be those 2 dates every year, every round of our planetary logos around the body of the solar logos, the 2 dates where humanity can align also from the 3rd and 1st ray aspect, which are apparent but real astronomical positions, and from the spiritual also aspect, because we know that there is no difference between spirit and matter. And when we, with our eyes, as we said last time, look at the Saturn and Jupiter bodies that are approaching day after day, or we look at Venus in these mornings, and we use this vector of power, love, and light as a way to assert that there is no distance nor time, but there are only reality, only here and now. We build an Antakarana with those bodies. And this is a 1st and 3rd ray approach. So combining this information by esoteric astrology, which are really made for building an Antakarana of consciousness between personality and soul, and combining also the rhythm, the effective rhythms here and now in some dates of the year and so on. It's a way to celebrate this mystery of no separativity between us and the infinity. And the fact that we have some dates for this, for example, Alcyone alignment, center of the 7 solar systems, And the fact that in 2025, Uranus, the Hierophant, will be in alignment with Alcyone of the Pleiades must be something. And we are just climbing this ladder to this entering a cosmic temple, a cosmic humanity, the one that is referring to Pleiades from a third ray aspect, and to Sirius from a second ray aspect, and to Great Bear from a first ray aspect. Here is again the quote. Yes.
Two of our planets, the Earth, non-sacred, and Uranus, sacred, are directly the product of this third ray activity. We should link this thought with the teaching that through the divine center of intelligent activity, which we call humanity, the fourth kingdom in nature will eventually act as the mediating principle to all the three lower kingdoms. Humanity is a divine messenger to the world of form. It is essentially Mercury, fourth ray, connected to the fourth human hierarchy, bringing light and life to other divine manifestations, and of this, all divine world saviors are the eternal symbols. This coming process of planetary service through the third divine center is only truly effective when Aquarius rules and when our sun is passing through that sign of the zodiac. Hence the immense importance of the next 2000 years. Therefore, only when a man is a world server and becoming group conscious can this desired objective of manifestation begin to demonstrate. It is beginning to happen today for the first time in planetary history. It is one of the first fruits of initiation, and only in the next root race to our present Aryan race will we begin really to understand the significance of the process and the true nature of the energies to be released through the medium of humanity upon the planet. It is for this reason that Jupiter and Uranus, expressions of the second and the seventh ray, are the exoteric and esoteric rulers of Aquarius. Let us see, therefore, how these solar energies or ideas associated in formulas by the luminaries of the solar system can reverberate on Earth in forces capable of giving form to the future of mankind and of the kingdoms of nature. We follow these 7 steps of the planetary dance, knowing that the strength and purity with which we will imagine the future will corroborate and delineate its contours better and better. In a nutshell, it is noteworthy that in this 7-year period, 2018-2025, as many as 3 of the deepest luminaries are found in the last signs of the zodiac, which accomplish the fulfillment of evolution. Neptune and Saturn will conclude the zodiac in Pisces by 2024 to enter in conjunction in Aries in 2025. Pluto will enter Aquarius, the sign of the New Age, in 2024. Only Uranus has already begun a new cycle in Aries since 2011, as our guide for the 7th ray that rises and leads us knowingly into the New Age. Jupiter, on the other hand, will enter the first sign, Aries, only in 2022. Here is a brief summary of the possible astrosophical value of their zodiacal positions. Pluto in Capricorn, purification and transformation of all aspects concerning matter.
And we are just there.
Yes. Neptune in Pisces, development of the Christ consciousness, waters of redemption and salvation. Uranus in Taurus, creation of a strong aspiration towards the new ideas captured in Aries, coating them with beauty and value. Scientific understanding of beauty will illuminate the world. Saturn, assumption of responsibility, Capricorn, of the service, Aquarius, of salvation, Pisces. Jupiter from Scorpio to Gemini, Cancer in 2025. expansion of consciousness according to the lessons of the crossed signs. This will make it possible to better and better realize the profound meaning of the task that each of the aforementioned luminaries has in the relative sign.
So I think that this synthesis of these 7 current years that take us to the threshold of the cosmic temple are really important. So maybe we can just do a little pause and reflection on them, because it's also so beautiful that we can, through our minds and hearts, make a reading of the signs of the heavens. In these positions, we have the answers of how to solve our problems, how to move, how to end this forerunner stage to enter this initiatory threshold.
So Antonella, as we take that pause, I wonder if we want to invite anyone with the time we have, as I look at the time, invite a comment or an insight or a question at this moment from anyone. And thank you for making this available in this way that helps us understand exactly what you are saying, which answers the question earlier that Alexander posed, how we take these next steps together and move through.
Yes.
So Alexander, is there something technical that people need to know to raise their hand or something?
Yes, if anyone would like to speak, please raise your hand. There's a function in the right side of your screen. You could unmute yourself.
So just a couple of comments in the chat then, Antonella, and back to you from Martha. When we together ponder upon the beauty of the cosmic spheres, we notice the importance of working in a rhythm balanced way between laws of love and laws of economy. And of course, thank yous, and thank you so much to everyone.
I think that also to contemplate together all this apparent technicality, but to keep in mind and heart that these are not technicality. These attempt to contemplate the beauty and the mathematics of the heavens is really a ritual, a celebration of what we are in essence, because we are stars, we are part of the planetary logoi, we are part of the solar logos, and so to study their rhythms is not a mental work, is really to recognize what makes us joyful, what makes us able to help hierarchy to what is needed to do and when. So Plato in his academy used to say the art of thought, to handle the art of thought, you have to know what, when, and how to say something. And this is just what we are doing. We are learning to know what to sow, when, and how. How, well, also in other ways, in our daily effort, in the here and now effort to be in joy, in the light, in spite of everything, in spite of all appearances. And I think that the new group of world service has really to do this, especially now that humanity is so suffering and is so blind in a way. But we know that we are immortal. We know that we have to keep this flame of joy the more time that we can in the here and now. Joy, which is a special wisdom. So it's love and light in action, actually.
I concur with what Antonella is saying. This information, it's not so much for it for the mental comprehension, as I see it. It's more as a tuning in with the music of the spheres, trying to align with that harmonics of that dance of the luminaries, and through that alignment to start getting intuitive impressions of the significance, because the true comprehension of that, as Tibetan said, it comes only with the high initiation and the understanding the secret of the cycles. But together as a group, as we align with those cycles and as we try to listen what each of those significant moments bring to us, which note, and learn by listening. And as one of the hints that Tibetan gives us is that initiate knows because he is practices, he's doing. So that is for us together to experiment and learn through experience.
Yeah, and for example, this Saturn-Pluto conjunction we had in Capricorn on 10th of January with the presence of Jupiter, we knew that was a really disruptive conjunction, but we couldn't imagine how much it could be for humanity.
Now we're learning it.
Yes, more and more. Here, the last in the same sign was in 1518, thus recalling the environment and atmosphere of the Renaissance. And more recently, their previous conjunction in this part of the initiatory heaven was in the 18th century in Aquarius, the motor and driving force of both the American War of Independence and the French Revolution. So really, this conjunction stimulates the transformation, emergence, and construction of new ideals, the idea of brotherhood through right human relations, and SDK indicates as the main idea of the new age, brotherhood, and fostering the breaking up of crystallizations and the clear vision about the mismanagement of our common home, the earth. Here we are, and we just had the last geocentric Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, but the heliocentric was on the 31st of July. So you can check the attempt to grasp the significance of these great impulses, causal impulses that cause all events also on Earth. in the document. So, new lesson of love, celebrating the supernal light or cosmic traction, the mover of evolution. Here we have seen the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. We have commenting enough. And then before the 2025, we will have this conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune, second sixth ray, Jupiter and Uranus on 14 March 2024. But with 2025, Mauro?
Yes.
Yes.
With 2025, our visions become even more boundless, no longer held back by the ring of the solar system. As a matter of fact, 2025 witnesses two powerful alignments, crowning this initiatory journey in 7 steps. Jupiter-Sirius conjunction, November the 3rd, 2025. The first significant alignment is that between Jupiter, solar heart, and Sirius, cosmic heart, on the 3rd of November 2025. The planetary heart, the hierarchy, expands its magnetic power, the power of attraction towards cosmic love, through the mediation of the solar heart, and the human planetary order, a cell of that heart, can tune its pulsation to that of the cosmos.
Okay, this happens every 12 years, of course, but united with all the other great signs. So we have also in 2025 this unity or alignment between these hearts, hierarchy, Jupiter, Sirius. So it's really a proportion of hearts towards the cosmos. And then this.
Earth, Uranus, Alcyon conjunction, November the 22nd, 2025. The second alignment of the year is that of the 22nd of November, 2025, which sees involved in the background of the constellation of Taurus, Uranus, the cosmic traction and solar hierophant, and the star Alcyon of the Pleiades, origin, heart, and pivot of the 7 solar systems, a star, as we have seen, connected to Aquarius, our next evolutionary horizon, and to individual service in the sense of responsible and conscious. The Sun, therefore, through the viewfinder of the Earth and Uranus, is one with this supreme origin, and together they can contemplate the infinite.
And then we have this great conjunction at the 0 degree of Aries, the initiator, the electric fire, the homeland of ideas, Aries, the initiation of fire between Neptune and Saturn.
Saturn-Neptune conjunction, 3rd and 6th ray, December the 11th, 2025. The infinite returns to the zodiac circle with the last conjunction of 2025, the one between Saturn and Neptune in Aries, on the 11th of December 2025. The year therefore closes with the meeting between the light of the true, Saturn, and the living communion, Neptune, which, strengthened by the initiating and restoring power of Aries, illuminate and renew all the fields by connecting and joining them, thus offering at a human level the impulse for the birth of enlightened and collaborative communities that consciously work for the foundation of a new culture and new civilization.
And we assert that. Okay, let's jump to now, if we have something to say for the coming year.
Anto,
Yes.
there's someone is asking for a moment of silence as we enter Sagittarius. I don't know if it's which is the exact time.
Yes, it's in 2 minutes.
Okay, so maybe we can
Thank
just be in
you.
the request. Yeah.
Yes. So we are in the fire, in dynamic fire of Sagittarius, where our arrow of the heart and the bow of consciousness can be strengthened by the power of silence. Okay, let's jump this on the okay, I think we can go back to the other document. Jump this.
Could you please just tell us what happened in Aquarius? I don't quite understand.
Well, you mean the conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius?
The 2 minutes. What was this about? Is it the heliocentric scene or?
In the 2 minutes of silence, we were entering into the sign of Sagittarius, because in the last month we were in Scorpio, and so it wasn't heliocentric, even if we can say that is an alignment between Sun, Earth, and one of the 12 portions or parts of the zodiac. So to celebrate and enter in a new sign is a ritual dedicated to the heart, to the 12 number, which is completion in cycle. Okay. We have here the symbol of planetary cycle, which is the year, the revolution cycle, and the day, the rotation cycle. You can read by yourself this part, which teaches the art of cycles, because we know that the day and the year is our closer cycle, and the squaring of the circle is sort of how man can act in every day and every year. So the quality of the year is given by the position of Jupiter, the solar master, but then in the four corners of every year, solstices and equinoxes, and in the four corners of every day, the dawn, the midday, the sunset, the midnight, we can hold these four corners of the mystery of the infinite, which is the circle, and just square through the presence here and now, and assert what we need to assert. So let's see if there is something to say. The simple cycle is the builder of the planetary forms. Here you can find. Okay, we can jump till the end. Okay, so this circle can have harmonic repartition in 2, 3, 4, 6, or 12 parts, which are the months. Okay. So I think it's more important to leave a space for assertion/meditation to close our contemplation of the cycles. So just this we could read, Mauro.
Yes.
Thank you.
Time is motion in an ordered space. Cyclical time is a rhythmic space. The 7 rays rule, according to a liturgy, the 4 sacred doors of creation and the creating center as well, which is the place or state of being and the eternal present. In the 4 corners of the day or year, or of any spiral vortex, the energy of all the superior vortexes flows towards the center, in the heart of the entity in question, as well as the center of all its forms. The spirit crucifies the substance according to these directions and frees it, allowing the explosion of its consciousness or essential sound light. Every creator respects these four stages or primary directions in order to co-vibrate with the cosmos and to impress its own goals and impulses. In these veins, synthesizing the whole intention of these essay on cyclical or real time, by learning to read the signs of the heavens, we can research, for example, for each year, 4 formulas or words of power that could translate into words the active causal energies in the 4 sacred doors. To experience and embody them in oneself, saturating space with each of them for a quarter of cycle, somehow helps us as co-creators with the great celestial thinkers to impress and lay them down in the planetary sphere and consciousness of every person. The planetary purpose and plan, in turn part of greater ones, can thus reveal themselves gradually to the well-oriented consciousness of man, a creature that can be rediscovered as the result or crown of planetary creation, as its first form and first kingdom that can self-initiate and rise to the level of conscious creators. Humanity, to paraphrase Pythagoras, has the power to give life to things by naming them. In the heaven, the living formulas of evolution are written to be read. It is up to us to gradually learn the art of collaborating in a coordinating and conforming way to the heavens. Can we risk missing the chance to be the conscious co-creators of our days and ultimately of our universal destiny? Is this a right or a duty for humankind, or perhaps admirably both?
Yeah. Okay, so just this, I think that
We are reading this.
yes.
Okay. Humanity can and must learn to proceed in the likeness of the celestial order, in a joint breath with its cycles and in a unified rhythm with its directions. Therefore, any true servant of the planet is bound to follow and disposed to represent the solar and cosmic model in co-measurement and conformity. In this lies our liberation. A human order or system that intends to imitate and be the living reflection of heaven will assert in itself and its actions the celestial rituality or of the group life. In the arrangement of its parts according to the models and qualities of numbers and according to the orientations of the heavens, this is the very model of space activated in us. In the common and individual celebration of the celestial rhythms according to the hierarchy of cycles and dates, concerning astrological qualities, discontinuities and articulations of the composed and simple cycles through the cardinal points of the day, all in the light of the overarching yet central eternal present. This is the model of cyclical time made living and present on earth. This is the attempt of humanity to express itself consciously on earth as a solar group, looking up at infinite heaven. Thus, thanks to the power of concordance and harmony, we proceed and advance with the heavens in the heart, our sun. Heaven is within us, and we are in heaven. We are heaven.
Yeah, so you can find on TPS in the documents page all these documents and also the annual ephemerides from a causal or heliocentric point of view. And each day you can have what happens of importance. So you can check this music of the spheres and align. And if you need some more information, please write to info the planetarsystem.org. Maybe someone can put the link in the chat. Info at theplanatarysystem.org anyway. Okay, so we can just do a little silent, and maybe we can stop the sharing and switch on our webcams to close. And maybe Dot, you can launch the great invocation for us.
From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. So be it. Thank you, Antonella, Mauro, 2025 Initiative, Daniela behind the scenes, and thank you, everyone, as we hold this great point of tension together as the journey continues. Blessings abound.